From Toronto, Phanta Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast.
And welcome to the Not So Corporate Podcast. How's everybody doing? My name is Mark Drager, and I'm the host. I'm joined today, as always, with Roland Echeverria. Hey, Roland.
Hi.
Nice energy level there, Roland.
Yeah.
And also,
I got work to do, guys.
I know. And fiscal year end is coming up for us, end of July. So we're really, hustling, struggling, working away to try and get projects wrapped up?
I think for next year, what we're going to do is give clients 6 months to wrap up projects. And if they don't provide us enough info, feedback, or whatever, we're just going to deliver and send them the invoice that here it is, and that's it.
So a few weeks ago, I said, you cannot stop until the project is done. You got to work and work and work. The new philosophy next year, you're telling me, is going to be, hey, we've hit fiscal year end, we're just delivering it, even if it's not done.
Perfect.
I like that. Also joining us, because Leah is out of town again, Kyle Wilson, our head of post-production, is sitting in.
Hey.
Hey, Kyle.
Dirty Lisa?
No, not Dirty Lisa. It's Naughty Lisa.
Oh, Naughty Lisa.
Naughty Lisa's
Kyle,
not there.
Naughty Lisa.
Yes, Kyle, you were sitting in for her, so thanks. I this morning I just grabbed you and said, hey, can you come in a little later today to do this? So
it's always a pleasure.
Not much warning. Well, we're happy to have you here. And sitting in the fourth seat with us is Mr. Louis. Last name, how do you say your last name, Louis?
It's Vazenios.
Vazenios. See, now, Louis has been with us for a year and a half. You're a senior editor with us. Is that your title?
Yes, officially.
You just promoted him.
Okay.
Well, wait, no. I am. I do janitorial services, and I also do a little bit of editing on the side.
You work post-production with us, but I don't want anyone to think less of me by the fact that in a year and a half I haven't learned how to say your last name. I mean, that says something more about me, I think, than you or the culture of the company. But Louis, we are pleased to have you here, so thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Wow, we're all very happy to be here. So this week, what we're going to be talking about is hiring the hiring process if you're an employer, how to find a job if you are looking for work. I think we wanted to collect these people because each of us has had experiences either being hired or struggling or hustling for a job, or in the last 8 years running my company, I've certainly had experience in hiring good people and bad people, what to look for, how to trust your gut. And some tips on what not to do and what to do and what it is I look for and people look for, because until you go through the process of actually hiring people, you don't really realize how fickle we can be. and so we're going to try and dig a little deeper into that in the second segment. But first, how's it going, guys?
I'm doing well.
Louis, were you nervous?
I slept
were you nervous?
all right.
I asked you a few days ago to be on the podcast, and you have podcasting experience. You said that you ran a podcast around what, a TV show or something?
It was a podcast that focused on the television show Heroes. And
what was the name of the podcast? Was it something clever?
I don't even remember the name of the podcast.
Oh,
that's how memorable it was.
Okay. So good experience all around?
It was a good experience. It wasn't memorable, but it was a good experience.
Excellent. And Louis,
yes.
you are from, you came up in the podcast a few weeks ago, but I think we may have cut it out. But we were talking about the fact that you are from Montreal. And you've been here in Toronto, in Canada for 2 years now, in English Canada for 2 years now.
Welcome to Canada.
I've made it to the country of Canada.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we were thinking about the things that you should do as a non-local Torontonian, because you may have missed it growing up. Have you been to the CN Tower?
No.
Have you been to the Skydome or the
Center Island,
the Rogers Center?
That's a no to both those.
Have you been to Center Island?
No.
Have you been to the Brass Rail?
I don't even know what that is.
What's the role?
That sounds like a strip club. Is that a strip club? All right.
It's kind of like the Copper Rail.
It's a strip club, right,
okay.
Roland?
Yeah.
Have you been to, what are other things that Torontonian people do? Have you been on the subway?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the TTC.
Have you been stuck on the King Street streetcar that never moves?
I have not.
Worst.
One really cool thing, though, about the TTC is the air conditioning.
Now you were not here. You were not here in the 90s, buddy.
Because there is no air conditioning on Montreal buses and because the Montreal subway system or metro system is underground,
Le Metro.
there is actually no ventilation in the Montreal subway. So
The same here, though. They don't have ventilation other than the trains.
Yeah, but you have outside stations. We don't, so everything is contained inside. So it's like.
So what
this,
else do you like about Toronto? That's what else is better? I mean, compared
You
to
like
Montreal.
Carabana? Are you going to Carabana?
Everyone keeps asking me about that.
Yeah, you
No,
gotta go.
hold on. I
Jerk
told
chicken?
Roland this story on the
Rum
weekend.
punch?
He was over on the weekend, and I told him the story about your concerns about Carabana.
I have concerns.
Which are what? Are you not racist? Are you?
Don't put him on the spot.
Carabana is a Caribbean festival to celebrate
It's
the history, the rich history of Caribbean-born and influenced people living in our city. Are you a racist?
No. No, I'm not.
Oh, that took a turn.
I don't think I would admit that anyways on this podcast if I was.
Okay, that was
Unlike
just so
certain
everybody
people.
knows that was hyperbole, right?
It's more
that
like
was-
a midnight Twitter confession
Yeah.
than a on the podcast confession.
So bring him on just to grill him to see if he's a racist. So what's your beef against Carabana?
I fear the unknown. Yeah, I just I saw Manny showed me this video. Manny is an editor here, a motion graphics editor, and he showed me this video that was set to dubstep.
There's a lot of
And,
booty in that video.
It just has it's booty. It's all
so
booty.
what's wrong with booty?
And that scared
There's nothing
you.
wrong with that.
Are you
It's
afraid of
just,
booty?
It scared you. Did it
not for everybody.
reach? Did it reach parts of your soul that you didn't? It unlocked doors you didn't even know existed
it did.
within you.
It's weird. It became like this weird, like,
Do you see stuff you've never seen before?
yeah.
Places
Yeah.
you're not supposed to see.
Okay,
I had this weird Vladimir Nabokov kind of like realization.
Who has their phone on, Kyle?
Okay.
I want to do something.
Kyle, you got to talk into the mic. You're
I
you
want
really
to
are
do
like
something.
Leah. You're filling in perfectly for her.
So what's gonna be his name? Naughty what? Naughty George.
Naughty Kyle. Naughty Kyle. His name could be Kyle Smith, right? That was the
That's the intern.
That was the pseudonym.
intern.
Is that the word? What's the word? Pseudonym or
Yeah.
no? What's it when you come
Avatar.
up with a fake name for yourself? What's that called?
Oh.
An alias?
An alias. That's your alias, right? Where you're Kyle Smith.
It's not a very good alias.
Look him up on YouTube, everyone, because you're going to see a video that will blow your mind.
Oh shit.
Look up Kyle Smith intern. Right?
It's a great video.
Yes, and
I'm very proud of it.
real quick shout out to Seymour, our intern here at Phanta Media, who
Sergey.
put together Sergey Seymour, who put together a video that we weren't quite sure what to do with, but we found it found its place. It found its home on Reddit. It was very well accepted by the Reddit community. So, hey Seymour, thanks for coming in and doing that for us. Roland, China update?
No. Donald Trump.
Losers.
Losers.
They're all losers.
I love listening to Donald Trump talk only because it's like
Does he even think
watching
before
a
he says
train.
anything?
Like it's a train wreck,
No.
right? You can't look away, and you hate everything he's saying and stand for, and yet it's so entertaining.
Yeah, he's like a car crash. I think he has the recipe for success, though.
No, okay, we were talking about this earlier today. No, he does not. No,
well, they
no,
goes to
no,
show
he
that
does
the
not.
people in America, right? Like, because if they accept him,
I think that whoever ends up in that seat,
Which seat? His
presidential
seat?
seat?
The one where he says you're fired, like that one at the boardroom table.
That I don't know. I say that
He got fired from his own show,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Well, it got canceled.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds better for Mark. What's the guy's name?
Burnett.
Mark Burnett to say, "Trump, come in here. You're fired." Although he's Australian, I think, right? So he'd say that with an Aussie accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making like another Bible movie, so he's got.
No,
time
they're
for
doing the
that.
TV series.
Ah.
They're doing the TV series based on the Book of Acts. I've heard about it, and apparently it's quite good. Although I don't watch TV. I don't have cable, so I don't know.
I also don't have cable. Yeah.
Hey, there's a quick question. Here's the question of the week in advance. Who here has cable? Kyle, do you got cable?
Yes,
You have cable?
basic cable.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you pay for it?
Yeah.
Really?
Trying to think what I watch. Some things just easier to watch on TV.
That surprises me because you're the cheapest person I know. Like you
Yeah.
are so like great and frugal. It
not
seems
cheaper
to
than
me.
you, Mark.
Roland, you're cheaper than me.
I don't
So
have
I'm-
Netflix.
I don't know. I feel like I'm the third cheapest person here. Roland, you are quite a bit cheaper than
Mark,
I am.
you're cheap.
I'm cheap? What am I cheap about?
About everything. You always on the spending freeze.
Freeze.
Really? I feel like I invest.
Tighten up.
I invest in certain areas.
Such as then cars.
You talking about personally or business wise?
Well, business.
Business, I feel like I invest in my staff, offices, environments, salaries, things like that.
Offices.
Mm-hmm.
Offices.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on.
Hey, buddy, I built you a lunch table. You wanted a place to eat lunch. I built it for you out of my own hands, my
It
own
was
sweat.
nice. It's actually pretty nice.
It's kind of okay. It didn't turn out as well as I thought, but anyway.
Well,
It looks nice.
I mean,
But Kyle,
how much did it cost?
back to Kyle with his
$80?
cable. Back to Kyle with his cable.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would have cable.
Well, my wife wants it.
Ah,
So
there you go.
I have it.
Perfect. And Roland, you don't have cable, do you?
Yes, I do.
You have cable too?
I have a full package. Everything.
When the hell did
9
that
yards.
happen? You were the first guy I know to get rid of cable and get one of those
Including
digital
the shopping
TV
channel.
antennas.
I bought a boat antenna and put it in my balcony. It was amazing.
For like a yacht, right? Like you bought
Yeah, it was like a big
yachting
It's like a
antenna.
UFO. on
Wait,
the
are you
balcony.
serious now?
Yes, I used it for like 3 years.
Okay, no.
It was amazing.
He went. I remember this. He was working for the company, and he went and bought one for really cheap, and it didn't work very well.
No,
so
they
then he
don't-
went all
they
the way to
don't
the
work.
other side and bought the most expensive yachting antenna you can get. And now
I
you
did
have
my
cable.
ROI and then I got my money back within a year.
And now
you
you
go.
have cable.
Yeah, because part of my maintenance. So
It's tied to your condo fees.
yeah, I don't have to pay. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it.
Let's see.
So what you need to do is you need to get on the board,
Subtract it from my maintenance.
overthrow the condo corporation's board, do like some kind of military coup or something,
Sure,
and then get that cable off there.
sure. I'm gonna say what, like $20, $30.
You have the
Yeah.
full package?
Yeah,
Like
Maybe
probably
like 100.
probably like over
Isn't it?
$80 a month.
that's what you will pay if you just buy.
No. If you paid it and just bought it, it's like $110 a month.
Mm.
So it's probably negotiated down to like 70 or 80.
Well,
That's
we
crazy.
have a lot of old people that need to do something.
Okay, with that, we're going to wrap up the first section. And coming up next, we're going to have a conversation about getting a job or finding people or hiring people or the process or what not to do or what to do to not piss people off while you're looking for work.
I did that once.
What?
Years ago, I was going for. I was like looking for a job in the winter.
You want to do this on mic or no?
Sure. Back years ago, I was looking for a job just for the winter. And I was like, man, I don't want to be a waiter again. But there was like an open house for the keg. I was like, okay, it's good money, I guess. Steaks.
Yeah,
expensive bill.
keg's good.
So I went in there and I just started talking, pretend to be all like, yeah, I love serving, I love working with people. And then the guy that was interviewing just pissing me off. And at the end, you know what? I really hate people. I don't want to do this. I just walked out.
You walked
the guy,
out?
The guy's like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm done with you.
You walked out mid-interview?
Mid-interview, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this.
That's good.
I like that. That's ballsy, man.
That's a great way to start our next section. So,
ballsy.
so essentially, what we're doing is we're talking about how to get a job, and I wanted to have Louie on and Kyle on because Roland, you've been here for 5 years, and Kyle, you've been here for 4 years, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Oh, snap.
And Louie, you've been here for a year and a half. So really, you're one of kind of the newer people, but at the same time, something I was thinking about and I reflect about is the fact that we don't have a lot of turnover at the company, which I think is a great thing because the last thing you want to do is lose good people. But I think a lot of that has to do with the hiring process because we have kind of hired people and then seen them leave or us ask them to leave kind of a few weeks in. What are we laughing about here, guys?
His heavy breathing.
What's that?
His heavy
Roland,
breathing.
There's some panting
Moving
and
on.
heavy breathing.
Moving on.
Yeah, he does know that we also don't record this as a multi-track recording, so I cannot remove that breathing later.
That's fine. That's character.
Roland, you
to
want to kick
everything.
us off on this conversation since you seem impatient?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about hiring.
Ironing?
Hiring.
Hiring.
Yeah, so let's start off on the job front side. So you want to go out and get a job. You need work. You're new to the industry, or you're in between things, or you just got laid off. You're thinking of transitioning, maybe. What do you do? Like, where do you find work these days?
How would I know? I've been here for 5 years.
Can you maybe answer a bit better than that?
I think that's a great answer. Yeah, I think that's a keeper. That's a keeper. I don't
Moving
know.
on.
I really don't know. Maybe someone can tell me.
Louis,
Take some notes.
you're our newest hire. So you worked at a company for like 8 or 10 years solid, and then you transitioned. You moved from kind of state to state, province to province, and so you found yourself in a new place.
Nation
so what
to
did you
nation.
do? What did you do when you got your feet on the ground here?
Well, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife.
Boom, she's now your wife.
That's right.
You put a ring on that finger.
I did.
Oh,
Yes.
snap.
I did.
You did right by her.
And it's been great. I love you, baby. So,
Okay.
right. The process basically entailed me moving into their basement and looking for work.
Who's their
And,
basement?
Well, her parents. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So basically the first thing I had to do was really know that I had to have a great portfolio, and I had to have a resume that reflected whatever job I was looking for. So I made sure to kind of tailor each resume to whatever position I was applying for.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I don't look at resumes at all.
Yeah.
So you go through the effort, and I know that I'm not like everybody, but you went through the effort of making sure you had a good portfolio. Totally agree with that. Your work is the most important thing you can bring to the table. And you need to be honest about your work. Don't just start sliding in things that you didn't actually do, or maybe overstretching
Absolutely.
what you actually did
Like
on
some
it. If you
people
said,
we know.
if you're a junior editor, you shouldn't say that you edited the entire piece. Maybe you could say you contributed to the editing.
Correct.
Or if you shot it as a DOP, you wouldn't want to say that you produced and directed it,
Right.
or infer that, right? Like, I don't think anyone outright lies, other than some people we know. But I don't think anyone would outright lie. But most people, would like to gloss over
Some
it.
people we know.
But you're going to find out. Like, as an employer, you're going to
Yeah.
find out if someone's lying to
Absolutely.
you, if they can't deliver, and then they're walked out 2 or 3 weeks later, like some people we know.
Right.
It happens.
Can we say that any more times?
No, we can keep
Okay,
it
so-
up for the whole thing.
So I love what you're saying here. So have a good portfolio. So
Yes.
so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this maybe point counterpoint style. You guys are employees. I'll be the employer. So on your side, you guys already know as someone looking for work, you want a good portfolio.
Right.
Good.
I think the other important thing, not to get too far into it, but I think the notion of a good fit is important. So
How do you figure that out as an employer? Or sorry, as an employee? So you're looking for work.
Yeah.
You want to try and get a job at a company. I mean, if you're desperate enough, if you're really hungry enough, you don't really care where. You just need a job. You want a job, or you want to do the type of work you want to do, and the culture may be kind of secondary to that. How do you evaluate that?
I think there's two parts to that. There's one where you're looking for a job and someone is looking for employees, and there's when you're looking for work but people are not looking for employees. So it's two different approaches. I think when a company is looking for someone, then you can read whatever they're asking and you can kind of tailor your thing based on assumptions of what you interpret what they're saying to try to target that.
Right.
But I find it tough is when you're trying to find stuff when people are not really looking. How do you convince them that you're the right fit or that you can bring something to them? And I think that's the biggest challenge. I get a lot of a lot of people send me like the reels and their DPs and the links to everything, and I'm not looking, so I'm not even interested.
Right.
I don't really care. And then I click on the stuff, and then they pat themselves on the back too much, and it's like, okay, well, that sounds great that you think you're amazing, and then. So that's for me. I find that to be the toughest. I don't know how to go about that. Trying to come into someone, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, I know you're probably not looking, but these are the things I could bring to you. This is how we can do stuff." I don't know.
I think that's interesting, and if I was going to speak to that, I would say that I think what you have to do is you have to set yourself apart, and you have to kind of make noise. You have to make yourself noticed, and there's various ways to do that. I think my girlfriend used to say that her grandfather used to tell her, what you have to do is you have to find something that no one wants to do and do it really, really well.
Provided people value it.
Right. So you have to like really, you have to do the little things. It's in the details. Like you can't just do your job. Because just doing your job is not enough. You have to prove to people that you're loyal and that you're willing to work extra and that you're willing to bring other little things to the table.
Okay,
and-
these are all things that are totally well and good, and,
Yeah.
and I agree too. I think it makes for loyalty. I think it makes for a good employee. I think it makes someone that you want to be
can't
hired.
prove that,
How do you do that pre being hired? So let's say that I'm someone who does not have a job. And so here's my story. So I went to film school, and when I entered the my film school had a statistic like most schools do. I think mine was
bullshit.
92% of our graduating students will be working within the industry within 2 years.
Yeah, it's PAs.
Yeah.
Well, but
Yeah,
no,
it makes
was,
for a good
it was,
number
it was
in a
such
por-
it was
or a
such bullshit
brochure.
that
Just a marketing tool.
no, it wasn't even PAs. It wasn't even volunteers. It wasn't even maybe if they counted unpaid internships.
Ryerson apparently gets visited by scouts from Fox and from Universal Pictures.
Does that
York was
happen?
That
Pretty-
worked out well.
York was pretty honest. You're gonna be an employee forever. You're gonna make your films. You're not gonna do anything.
That's because you went
like
to
that.
an arts-focused
I like
school where
I was like, okay.
when I applied
thanks.
to that school, I told them that I didn't want to be a big shot. I just wanted to work. And they're like, thank you, out the door. please."
We don't work here.
They're only looking for big shots. But the thing is, I went to school and I assumed that I would leave school employable. And it was a huge shock to me when I got out and realized that not only was I not special, not only did I have really nothing to offer anyone that 100 other people couldn't offer, there was no work. There was literally nothing for me to do because I was almost blindsided by it was shocking to me looking back how foolish I was thinking that the world would be waiting for me to graduate so that way I can come in and work. And I wanted to work. I wanted to work hard.
Yeah.
But I thought that it's like I will come out and I will work hard and I will do it. And I still got lucky. I still got landed with an unpaid internship. I still got a chance to volunteer. I used that unpaid internship to get paid work by making friends.
Yeah.
I bought people like golf tickets and hustled to get in. And then I took that freelance work and it did evolve into a career. But only out of luck, only out of trying hard and working hard. So if I'm someone who's looking for work and I'm sitting on my sofa or something, waiting for the world to come to me, let's say even I'm doing everything right. I got a good portfolio. I'm customizing my resume for each thing. I can share with you that a cover letter, a detailed,
I think that works.
customized.
Yeah.
Cover letter that explains who you are, the value you will specifically bring to the company, and not an overly flowery way. Don't come
like
come
an
to
icebreaker.
me. Don't come to me and tell me that they can't wait to take my business to the next level. Okay, because that is in fact as someone who's been working for 8 or 9 years on this business, that is a bit of an insult. But come in humbly, but strong.
Like you want to be part of the team.
Come in
contribute.
saying that you can't, come in being yourself and putting yourself out there. That's why I say I don't read resumes.
Yeah.
The resume is something that I'll look at, pretty deep into the process for us because it doesn't really matter to me where you've worked.
And it means nothing because even if you have those projects there that you've never seen before, that you don't know, you're not aware of them, like that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't. You don't.
Yeah,
15
they're just
different
things on
short
a paper.
films, no one ever seen. Okay,
Exactly.
great for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that means nothing. I think, like you said, it's the portfolio and that cover letter. Just saying, this is what I can bring to you. I'm not going to change your business. I'm going to add to that. I'm going to try to do my best to bring this and this, and hopefully we together can do something.
Yeah, and a few things that jump out at me. So having a cover letter that is customized, that like some people will get mad if there's grammatical or spelling errors. So try and make it professional. That doesn't really bother me, but make it professional. Have someone else potentially read it. Write it specifically for the company each time. Yes, it's a work. Yeah, it might take you an hour. It might take you an hour and a half to write a cover letter.
But you're looking for work.
But you're looking. Your job, your full-time job, is to find work.
Yeah.
Right. So do the work to find the work and show me that you're going to earn it. But a few other things. If there's a specific post, don't provide feedback on the post. So, for example, there was a time when early on I was looking for someone to help as a junior editor.
Mm-hmm.
The position was junior editor. It was being paid, I think, $15 or $20 an hour range, depending on experience. We were looking for someone for 1 to 2 years experience. It was clearly a junior editor. And I would get people emailing me angry. I had 3 people on one posting. 3 people emailed me to say, one person was angry. Another person said, hey, you don't want that $15 to $20 an hour person. You want me for $50 an hour because I'm going to rock your world and change your business. And I had someone else saying, you companies think that you can get all of this work and get everyone with experience to work and know all of this software and not pay us. You're what's wrong with the industry.
Yeah.
You're bringing us down.
That's
but the thing is, all I'm looking for is a junior editor. I'm not looking for you. I'm not looking for someone with 30 years experience.
Right.
So I mean, it might sound obvious, but don't don't aim to stand yourself out.
Yeah.
By schooling the person looking for work.
No.
Like it's not going to end well.
When I applied for the position here, I don't think I asked a single question until
yesterday.
Yeah.
So you were 2 years into the process before you asked your first question.
Absolutely. Like I didn't. You don't want to start like rocking the boat. And the thing that you mentioned before, the angry Craigslist guy, or people who don't know how to read an ad. You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to read an ad.
Because they're not reading it. They're just like, I'm going to send my resume to this place right now.
So that
I have gotten cover letters with different company names on it.
Oh yeah.
That's like, dude.
Dude. That's disgusting.
Dude.
I've gotten that. I've gotten that. Dear Mark Drager, blah 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 blah. I can't wait to come into CBC. It's like our national broadcaster. It's like and I'll write back. Like I'll write back like, hey,
Good.
Thanks so much for taking interest in us. By the way, I think there was an error in your cover letter just to make them go like, oh shit. But so that's one thing. Okay, so you brought up an interesting point about reading the ad. So this is maybe now a tip for people looking for work, but this is especially a tip for people who are looking to hire. When you're writing your ad, so if you're an employer, if you're a company, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to recruit anyone, think about the fact that bringing on employees is like dating. In my mind, it is. It's like dating. You want to show the best side of you while still being truthful enough that they won't kind of wise up, that they won't think you're tricking them into loving you. So when you're dating and you're meeting that special someone, there might be some initial interest, and then you'll kind
Unless
of.
you're Cosby.
You're right. If you're Bill Cosby.
Pills in the people.
So
anyway,
I don't care if you like me. I'm gonna give you pills.
So unless if you're Bill Cosby pushing Jello shooters, you want to consider it like dating, where you're getting to know the person, they're getting to know you. You're putting kind of the true side of you, but the best side of you forward. And then keep in mind, in my mind, having employees is like dating in the way that. Okay, so you've landed the person, you've built a relationship. You want to keep the person. You don't want to take them for granted. You don't want to, you don't want to lie to them. You want to be honest. You don't want them to wake up one morning and go, "What the hell am I doing here?" So write your post to be as interesting and revealing and enticing as possible. You want a large group of people to take interest in your company and what you're doing, in your vision, in where you're going, and what they're going to do for you. Build the most enticing piece that you can.
I think with that, you also have to put a little the company's personality in that post. So use the language that you like to use the terms that you use. That way, people get a flavor.
Good point.
Like Louis was saying, customize it to feel it's the right fit. You get some from that, because I remember your posting. You had the Mark Drager way to write and stuff, and it was like, okay, this is not your standard kind of the CBC guy posting. It was a little bit different. So there was something there. It's very high level and minimalistic, because just job posting, but there was a little bit of flavor coming from there that you can grab onto, and at the same time try to do that back in your submission.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Now here's what Louis said a minute ago, which keyed into me going down this trail. If you're an employer, work in a question. And if you're an employee or a potential employee, read the entire post, because almost everyone I know who runs small businesses work in hidden questions. And so you will work in somewhere within the body. What we like to do, which I guess I'll have to change the question now because we're going to release this, we like to do favorite color. So we will write an entire post with everything that you're supposed to do. And then at the very bottom of the post, or kind of towards the bottom, we'll say, be sure to send 3 or 5 examples of relevant work, your cover letter, your resume, and your favorite color. And this might seem harsh. This might seem harsh to anyone listening, but if their response back to me does not have their favorite color in it, I delete the response. I don't look at their work. I don't look at I don't look at anything, because if we're getting 50, 80, 100 great people, you might say, well, it's pretty fickle that you're deleting potential good candidates based off the fact that they didn't get your favorite color. But it also reveals to me that, one, they don't really care enough about us to take a detailed approach. Yeah. Two, as a company, we are pretty detail focused, right? We would expect our staff to be willing to actually read things, learn things, communicate properly. And the other thing is, which is what I was speaking about earlier, is if I have 50, 80, 100, 150 all qualified people, what is as a person, what am I going to do to whittle that down? Like, think about that. If you have 20 candidates who are all amazing, you start to really look for ways to eliminate people, because you have to come to a decision. Yeah. So the more amazing candidates there are, the more fickle you become, almost to, we used to joke in high school that certain teachers who didn't read your reports would just throw the essays down the stairs, and whichever one got the furthest got 100%, and just mark based off of just some kind of random thing. You start to eliminate people based off of some really fickle things, because you have so many good candidates. And so listen, it sounds tough if you're an employee, but understand that every single step and everything you do can make the difference. So we like to work in hidden questions. I have a friend who runs a company who works in something like 5 or 6 hidden questions, and they need each of those questions because they have such a detail-focused role. Like if you're doing project management work, and you're working internationally with these big projects, you need to be very detailed. So they'll work in 5 or 6 hidden questions. So for us, we do a post that wants to entice people. So if you're an employee, we want you in there. We want you to love what we're doing. We want you to be a part of it. And then we'll work in a hidden question.
But don't be vague in your posting. I hate when employers are vague and they're like, we want you to be part of this team and help transform the digital whatever media revolution. And you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The actual salary was posted on the job posting when I applied.
I don't know. We do it depending on the post. Sometimes it's posted, sometimes it's not. So if we feel that we're going to market and we're not quite sure what the market will bear, we'll not put a post down.
Okay.
And it's more often that we won't. If we know that we have a budget range and we're looking for the very best that we can do within that budget range, it's in our interest up front, only because within this world, when we were hiring producers, we had people applying who were willing to work for $40,000 a year, and people who wanted $150,000 a year. And so which we didn't used to put our number down. So
wait, $150,000 a year?
Pros.
We're gonna have to talk next week.
That's a lot of money to bargaining.
We're gonna have to talk.
The point is, well, they weren't hired. So the point is that we didn't put numbers down, we didn't put expectations down, and it wasn't until pretty late in the process that we found out their salary expectations. We kind of wasted their time. Yeah. And it's not to say that they don't deserve it, but we were, as a small company, we're not going to pay that. So, anyway, it's just sometimes we'll put salary expectations down, and other times we won't, because the other thing as an employer, you may not want to hear this as an employee, but as an employer, if you don't know what the market bears, you don't want to put a number out there because you may be way too low. Yeah. And then you may lose good candidates because you're too low, and you may have to come up mid-process. You might say, geez, everybody's way higher than I thought, but I love them and I need them. I'm going to pay more. Or you may go way high. And one thing I've learned is throwing money at employees does not generate better hires. So if you take your dollar that you can afford and say, I'm going to double that because I'm going to get a better person, that doesn't actually deliver a better person. And
it doesn't really discourage people from applying, because if you put like $100,000 for a producer and the kid just graduated from school, like, oh, I'm worth $100,000, because each person thinks they're worth whatever they think they're worth. Exactly. And that doesn't necessarily reflect the market. They just think like, I'm worth a lot of money. I'm the best thing since sliced bread.
Right. Like, so we had someone come in who really undervalued themselves, and it was a new role, and we weren't sure what the market would bear, and we brought them in, and they were a fantastic employee, and right away we felt it was our responsibility to start giving them raises, because it was like they came in low, but geez, we're underpaying them. Like, we need to give them raises because again, for us, it's not just about hiring people; it's about keeping the people we want to keep. I want to keep the people around this table. I want to keep the people in the company who are going to help us do good things. Right. And so as a company, we owe it to our staff, because we're expecting, your loyalty and everything else. So the next thing that I do, and this is where I'm going to get you guys impressions on it. I'd like to know your impressions because I think I did it for each of you. But as a company, what we do is we do a good posting. We make sure there's a hidden question, and anyone who sends us the things we send, anyone who sends us the things we ask for, we don't review any of it. What we do is we immediately make sure that they're local, because we don't want people like in Australia or Europe applying for jobs that they can't, which has happened a long time ago. But we make sure that they're local, and if they're local, we immediately send out a questionnaire. And that questionnaire contains all of the stuff that we would like to know about the people. And some of it's redundant, because some of it already exists within the cover letter, some of it already exists within the resume, but it goes into way more detail. And we do that because it would take us a lot of time and effort to go through resumes, cover letters, examples of work, and the stuff doesn't tell you anything about the employee. It doesn't tell you about culture. It doesn't tell you about personality. It doesn't tell you about experience. It doesn't tell you whether someone else wrote the resume for them or whether they did. And so we send out like a 4 or 5 page questionnaire, and we explain that we have a different process. And we want people to fill in the questionnaire, and they have a week to do so, let's say. We give them a timeline. And about half the people we send it to never take the time to fill in the questionnaire, which is amazing to me.
That is crazy.
It's crazy to me that they go like, blip, 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 I want a job, I want a job, I want a job. Oh, I'm going to work for you, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to change your business. Mark, I'm going to come in and I'm going to change your business. And we say, fantastic. Please fill in this questionnaire. We would like to know a bit more about you. And they never fill it in.
I think it's a bit of a ego thing or perception of what things should be or not be. I know when I apply as a freelancer, I said my reel, which I was very proud of. I put a cover letter. It was customized with Phanta Media. I checked out the website. I was like, "Oof, this company is rough."
We were rough.
There was only one video that I saw that was like, you know what, this guy's hot something. I can, and that thing I can bring here, and I can work with them and grow with them. And when I got the questionnaire back, I was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
No, you weren't. You had stronger language than that.
Yeah, but I'm like, live radio right now.
You were like, who the are these people to tell me that you want me to answer these questions?
Pretty much. So that's what I was. I was like, forget about it. I'm done. Screw them. I'm ready.
And you filled it out.
Ready to jump. I'm ready to jump in something that is very rough and rocky, and I feel like I could do better. But I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And but anyways, I still ended up doing it. My
2008.
My girlfriend at the time, now the mother of my child, not my wife yet.
Okay, so now the mother of your child said to you,
not my wife yet.
Okay, she said what?
She said, you should just do it. And I was like, fine.
Okay, and you filled it in.
Yeah.
And then from that, we spoke. And then from that,
did we speak? I don't think so. I think you just disappeared, no?
No, I brought you two people in, a French guy and you, in for an interview.
But that was like months later. Because you called me. I was in bed because I was super sick that day.
When I actually needed you, yeah.
And you were like, oh, it's Mark Dragon. I was like, who?
Yeah, anyway, so you came in, and then we started freelancing, then we formed a relationship, then you came out as a full-time producer, you've been here for 5 years, you've grown the business, you've changed the business. Okay. Why? Because you took the time to fill out a questionnaire. Right?
And back then it was only 5 questions, not 5 pages. Like, no.
I know it was 5, and they were things like they used to be things like, which we still have, but how do you handle feedback or criticism? They were just, they used to be other things. Now today what we do is the first page is an information sheet to make sure that they have a car, to make sure that they're legal, to find out where they live. Second page is work history, including past roles, start dates, stop dates, initial earnings, how much money they were earning when they left their last company, responsibilities, reasons for leaving. Third page is the personality portion of the questionnaire. So who is your best manager and why? Well, we want to know that because if they have a manager that they loved who has a totally different working style than us, it's not going to be a good fit. Who was your least favorite manager and why? Same reason. Name for us a funny thing that happened at work once. We want to see if people have a sense of humor. There's a whole series of questions there just so that way we can look at it and determine, would this person fit in our company? Because ultimately you can have the best work. You can be a hard worker. You could do work that would snap in perfectly. But if you don't fit culturally, then you're out because it's just never going to work. It's going to be frustrating for everybody.
Well, and that happened during the hiring process for the other producer that we had a couple of years back. I remember we shortlisted like 6 people. We did like 40 interviews. Out of those 40 interviews, we cut out 3 people because it just didn't feel like
Well, and that's the process.
They were
So
not
after
jiving.
the questionnaire, you read the questionnaires. I select usually about 10 shortlisted people. I explain they're shortlisted, and I set up 15-minute phone calls. With each person, I then speak with them for 15 minutes just to make sure that, again, that the same person who filled in the questionnaire is the person I'm speaking to. I ask them a few questions. From there, I shortlist it down to 2, 3, 4 people to interview, and I'm only actually interviewing a few people. And those interviews are long. Like
Yes.
90 minutes, like 2 hours. I'm not trying to hustle 10-minute interviews. It's a waste of their time to drive to us. It's a waste of our time to see them.
Yeah.
I only want to see those 2 or 3 or 4 people that are really good. And so Roland, you can jump back in. So we sent out the questionnaires. We had done the phone interviews.
And once we did the phone interviews, we shortlisted 3 fellows to come in and do face-to-face interviews. Maybe, from my perspective, there was an order in my mind of my favorites. There was some guy, another guy, and then there was Oscar, who's now is with us. Oscar was at the bottom of everything, even though I knew him from before, and I was kind of rooting internally, I hope he gets it, but he wasn't in my favorite kind of list. He was the bottom of it from a technical standpoint.
Yeah,
there were people that were higher. I would find them some more interesting. But when they came in and interview all these other people, at the end of those 3 interviews, Oscar just quickly jumped up to the front. He was the front runner, just because his personality, he seemed to fit a little bit better. Other fellows were a little more, I'm awesome. Why should I be there? I don't know if I really value what you're offering.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was, even though they had great work, you say, okay, perfect, bring them on. They're going to make a lot of great things here.
Yeah.
But because it didn't fit culturally, they were not part of this.
You know what? Let me. I don't understand though other companies who don't value culture enough to hire the right people. So they may not even have a defined culture. So they don't define their culture. They don't hire the right people for the right culture. They'll either hire to salary or they'll hire to qualifications or something like that. So that's the second thing that doesn't make any sense to me. They have this like HR mentality where they'll really value resumes, and they'll do these interviews that just waste so much time for everybody involved. And so it's like you get these companies filled with people that don't align with the corporate culture because there is no defined corporate culture, so the staff are let to do their own. They hire the wrong people for the wrong reasons. They waste a lot of time doing it. How in God's name does that make any sense to anybody?
Well, it depends. Like if you're in film or commercial land, you hire to scale. That's it, period. You deal with all the headaches that come with that because you're hiring to scale and because you're the flavor of the day, or you're going to, for whatever reason, you're going to get people excited. But because it's not a full-time job, you deal with the headache for that day or 2, 3 weeks, and after they did the freelance gig, they're out the door, like, thank goodness.
But you never hire them again then, right?
No, you hire them again. You go through the process, the pain. It's the creative process of dealing with the pain. But because you're not there every day, you don't have to stare at them every day. You put up with it. And then once they're no longer the flavor of the day, then you say sayonara, see you later, and they go somewhere else and bring their pain somewhere else.
There's no loyalty. There's no coaching. There's no progressing to get to be a tighter, stronger, better team. There's nothing but but anger and
not
tension and discord.
Oh, well, not always. But I mean, what I was saying is there. For example, if we go to commercial, there are directors who have a certain personality that might not jive with what the culture of the production company is, but they're doing good work and the client really wants, and then they put up with it. That's what I'm trying to say, because they bring that skill set that for that specific project is needed.
I don't know. I can't get on board with that. I can't even think that way. Like,
I think comes from the think about everything creative, music, whatever it is. An artist who's a pain in the ass. Some people are gonna hate them, but at the end of the day, they create something good. People kind of look the other way. Look at Kanye West. Everybody hates him as a person, but the people still listen to the music, even if they're quietly in the bathroom.
No, but there's a difference. If I'm working for someone, and they're the pain in the ass, they're my client, even if they're my boss, right? Like technically, they're my client, and I need to decide how I'm going to handle them, where I'm going to handle them. If I'm a staff member or an employee, and I'm expecting people above me to treat me a certain way, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Why would anyone above you put up with your shit? Like, you want to work, if you have a choice of who you're going to want to work with or who you're going to work with, you'd want to work with people of like minds. And if you're collecting a team of people, ideally you would collect a team of people with like similar values and like minds, so that way people aren't wasting time and energy on tension and discourse, whatever, tension and anger. They're spending all of their time and energy moving forward together.
I mean, it doesn't happen every single time, but I mean, there are instances where that happens, where something is brought in just based on skill, less so of a fit per se. And it might not necessarily mean there's more work down the line. Eventually it's going to end because there's so much you can tolerate or you can put up with. And those relationships that like you said, you build and you can mentor each other and grow, those are the ones that last.
Yeah, those are
always.
the best. Yeah.
But there are situations where people are hired for skill and they do what they do. People kind of like bite their tongue or whatever you want to call it. Eventually, it all dies down, but there is a period of time where you kind of go through that because whatever, again, necessity. If it's a commercial house, if what ex client says, I really want to work with that guy, he's doing crazy work, and you know he's a pain in the ass. You choose to take the work or not. And if you take the work, then you got to deal with the personality that comes with it at times.
I just think life is short, and I think it's too short to spend time doing stuff you don't really have a passion for and working with people that you're not in sync with. I don't know. Is that too am I living in the clouds? Is that?
Yes.
Thanks, Roland. You guys don't agree?
I totally agree. I think that the most beautiful thing is the potential for growth. So if you're somebody who's scrappy and you're part of something and you want to keep going, like someone at the top is at the top. He has nothing to prove. So I think the minute you hit that roadblock, that barricade, you start to lose part of yourself and you start to lose the drive and the passion. And it's really important to, for example, I wasn't necessarily the best person, technically speaking, for the job that I got at Phanta Media.
Well, we can talk about that because we didn't even hire you at first.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing, right?
Oh, snap!
Yeah, I wasn't even.
Dirty laundry coming out.
So with you for your role, we went through the questionnaire.
Yeah. We
boiled it down to 10 people. We went through the phone calls. From those calls, I brought in 2 people to interview. I brought in yourself and one other person. Mm-hmm. And I brought in that other person because really I had it narrowed down to you. And some people on the team said, you can't interview only one person. Like that's silly. Why would you only interview one person? You need to bring in people to compare that person to.
There wasn't 2?
There was one person. It was just down to Louis. And they said, no, you have to bring in other people. So I said, okay, so there's this one other person who my gut's telling me no, but I'll bring them in. I'll bring them in because technically they're capable and all of these other things. And I bring them both in an interview. And Louis interviewed very well, but too well. Yeah. And I called you on it and I said, are you really telling me the truth, or are you just really, really good at interviewing?
Right.
And you said, I'm good at interviewing, and this really is me. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do or not.
I do.
Did you bring some tzatziki for the
You didn't bring tzatziki.
No? Not this week. No.
But I
barbecue.
For the interview.
Oh no.
When you came to interview, you didn't bring tzatziki.
No, there was no tzatziki.
I would have done well.
But I thought you interviewed very well, but I wasn't quite sure if you were for real or not. And then this other person seemed easier to read.
Yeah.
Not quite so perfect. See, there's a problem with perfect, right? The person who you can see snapping in really easily, you start to question and doubt. And so the other person had strong technical skills, but
on paper.
I had on paper, and I had some doubts about it. But I said, well, maybe they're coachable, maybe they're workable. And so, you know what? This was a huge lesson for me about trusting your gut rather than listening to other people. I went back to the team and I said, who should we hire? And we hired the other person. And I called you up and I said, I'm sorry. It came down to 2 people, and it was right before Christmas. And
that's right.
And I said, we're going to go ahead with this other person. And you know what? From that moment on, there were red flags everywhere. There was just. I sent the employment agreement through by email.
Oh yeah.
And it has a date. It has a time-stamped legal date that they have to sign back from.
That should have been it right there. Just nope, sorry.
They didn't sign back. And so I followed up the next day. I said, you didn't sign back. Are you still interested in the role? Oh, I didn't see that the email came through. Oh, okay, red flag 1, but okay, that's fine. And then we bring the person on, and it was just, they were with us for 3 weeks, I think.
No, 5.
5 weeks?
5.
5 weeks I paid?
Really? 5 weeks?
Yeah.
So 5
I
weeks.
know every one of them.
And you know what? I feel like in those 5 weeks, we gave that person
Learned a lot.
a fighting chance. We gave them a chance to prove themselves, and we gave them a chance to work. And you know what? Such a lesson in trusting my gut, because I didn't trust my gut. I thought it was too easy. It was too simple. So I listened to rational thinking, and I hired the rational person.
Yeah.
And you know what? I called you back up and I said, I'm thinking I made a mistake. I don't remember the wording. Maybe you do. I remember I called you up and I said, I'm thinking about reconsidering you for the role. What did I say to you? Do you remember?
You were okay. So when you called me back up,
He recorded this conversation, by the way. He plays it every morning before he comes to work. He plays it
I have
back.
it all. It's all evident.
Little eye of the evidence for
Get
what?
pumped up.
I don't know.
So for some pending court case or something?
It's happening.
Let's not get. I can't talk about this right now.
Okay.
So like when you called me, I believe it was like end of January.
Yeah, like early February.
Yeah, and you were at first you were like, I'm interested in maybe trying you out on a freelance basis, and I was totally game, open for it, and then I think a week or two later,
Yep.
you called me and you're like, so like we're thinking about having you come in, but we need you to do like a test day. So we have this project. We need you to edit it front to back. You have a work day to do it, and then we'll evaluate it based on that. And that's where we went from there.
Yeah, and so that's the next part of the process is we bring people in when it's a technical role. When it's a producing role or something like that, it's really hard to test someone without hiring them. But if it's a technical role, we bring them out for test day, and we say, listen, which normally I would say to Louis, I would say to anyone I'm hiring, listen, you're down to the very last, very few people. We need to bring you in for test day. It's unpaid. It's not a real project. We're going to give you a real project and ask you to do it, but with circumstances. But we just want to see what you can do, because we just got to know if you can do the job or not. So we brought you in for test day. We gave you 8 hours, and you did it in like 5, I think, or 4.
Mm-hmm.
You skipped lunch.
Yeah.
And you blasted through it.
Yeah.
And then the last part of the step is I take the candidate that I'd like to hire out for a cup of coffee.
That's right.
And it's because so the questionnaire, we get to know who they are. The phone call, are they for real? The interview is very usually like business focused. And then the test day is technical. Can they do it? The last step is this last gut check for hiring people. It's when I can have an honest conversation with the person one-on-one, and I can say, this is what I'm interested in. These are my concerns. Are you for real? Aren't you for real? Here's my worries. This is the role. This is what we're like as a company. Do you have any questions? And to be honest, I work really hard to be very, very honest with the person I'm hiring in terms of where I think their weaknesses are, what my expectations for them to grow are, because I really look at each staff member we come at everything as no one's perfect. No one's perfect. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. But if we can identify the weaknesses rather than hide them, rather than people getting concerned about hiding weaknesses, let's be open about our weaknesses. So that way other team members can step in with their strengths to help overcome that. Or we can coach you out of the weaknesses, or we can break you down and rebuild you like the military does. Or you got to walk. But ultimately, we went out for that cup of coffee, and we spent like an hour and a half together, and I just re-asked all the same questions. Are you for real? Do you really want this? Will you be loyal?
It was like a police interview to see if like the answers matched up from the first round of interrogation.
Yeah, it was. It was, because again, and what I learned from hiring you, Louis, so a year and a half ago, was trust your gut.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. Don't listen to rationale. You know what? If you put out a posting and only 10 people respond, and from those 10 people, one person's perfect, don't go, well, let me see who else is out there because there might be someone else. There may be. Or you can just take the person who's in front of you, work with them, coach them, they teach you, you teach them, work with what you have, and get to work. Like, get to work on being a better company, a stronger company, pushing each other, lifting each other up, all of those things, like us against the world, not us against each other. Those are the types of things that I'd rather spend focus on than thinking about who else there could possibly maybe be. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I
don't know if that makes you
no,
and
you're right, and I don't think, and I think it's about feeling, because you're right. Like there's we've all kind of been reading this book, Start With Why. And he talks about rationale versus feeling. And it is very important to trust your gut. I mean, in like 99% of cases in my own personal life, the feeling has always been the right choice. And anytime I questioned it, it's always been the wrong. Now, okay, the odds are pretty good there, but that's been my experience. It may not be someone else's, but feeling has always been like the number one thing.
Well, and here's the other thing that I've also learned, though, is there's nothing wrong with mishiring. Right? Now, I mean, it sucks. It sucks to bring someone on and hope they're going to do stuff and then have them not do it. It sucks for the person you hire to bring them on and have them think that they have a role or a job in the company and then have it not play out. But
when you eat your turkey.
Jeez, I was trying to think of where you went back.
God, turkey.
That was a really like you're going back like 3 years
That's
now.
That's a lesson. No, wait. Did you do the follow-up coffee?
We did everything.
The follow-up with that? Yeah.
The coffee,
we did.
Yeah.
We did at Tim Hortons. I remember because I even laid out, I said,
because that's where you can find out if they're really
I said, here are your challenges. I said, here are your challenges. I've already identified what you need to work on. Will you step up? And the person said, I am ready. I will do it. And we walked them in 3 weeks. They just, they were only with the company 3 weeks. And so that's the other thing. It sucks to mishire. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. But you know what? Sometimes it happens.
I think we grown a bit too from that. Because I think
we're starting to go back. We're starting to go back like 3 or 4 years. So
because back in those days,
every year we're hustling, right?
Back in those days, you were more hopeful about people.
I was very optimistic that if we identified the challenges, people would work to overcome them. And part of me trusting my gut is also learning that ultimately people don't change. When we do a background check on someone and we ask for references, the things that come back in the references, we're still fighting 2 years later with people to overcome. So you know what? I'm a pessimist. I am not going to become an optimist. So if I'm in an optimistic environment, either I'm going to be refreshing and people will value that, or they're going to say, why the hell is this guy so grumpy all the time? Like, this is an optimistic company. Get optimistic. It's never going to change. With Oscar stuff that we talk about, he is an idea guy, right? He is good at coming up with ideas. But the thing that came back when we did a background reference with him is someone said, that guy comes up with a lot of ideas. And we went, oh, okay. And then we're like, geez, that guy comes up with a lot of ideas. Well, of course he does. It came up in the reference check that he's an idea guy. He's going to come up with ideas. Either we're going to embrace those ideas or we're going to be fighting with them all the time. So every employee, everybody has something. You're not really going to change that. So to your point, I have become less optimistic or hopeful that we can just identify the challenges and coach around it if it's like an unbreakable thing. The last thing that I kind of would like to share with people, I guess, is something that I think quite a bit about and that I talk to potential hires about. And if you're applying for a job, this is I don't know if anyone would ever share this with you openly, but if you can find out this information, it's really important because it'll tell you whether you're a good fit or not. And that's the 4 things that really make a good employee, because a lot of people think it's the work, but it's not the work. A lot of people think that it's how you go about the work or the culture or the salary, but it's actually those 4 things. So what makes for a really great employee is that they're able to do the work at the level or above the level that's expected. Of course, that's first. You want to be really good at your job. But it's not enough just to be good at your job. It's how you go about your job. So you have to maybe be good at communications if that's important. Maybe you have to be good at file organization because you want all of the names. Maybe you have to be good at following a process so you don't lose data. Maybe you have to be good at following a process so that way you don't get sued or you don't hurt someone. So it's not just about the quality of work. The second thing, of course, is how you go about the work. The third thing is whether you fit into the culture or not, because that's huge. You have to fit into the culture. And then the last thing that people really don't quite get is value for money. If I'm paying someone $100,000 a year then I would have different expectations for all of those, the quality of work, how they go about the work. The culture's unforgivable. You have to do that. But if it's different if I'm paying someone $100,000 a year than if I'm paying someone $50,000 a year. If I'm paying them $50,000 a year, I might be more forgiving because it's different value for money.
Right.
And so some people come in at a certain salary level, and I go, okay, how you go about the work is good. Your culture is good, but the quality of work doesn't match up with the value for money. I should really be paying you like 3/4 of what I'm paying you, or I should be paying you half of what I'm paying for you. And so I try to really frame my thinking about each staff member in this way. And when I'm hiring someone, I'm usually pretty honest with them. When we're letting someone go, I'm really honest with them because it's about making sure that you deliver the quality of work, you go about the work way we need you to, that you fit into the culture, and then as an organization, we're getting value for money because at the end of the day, it's a business, right? Like we have to be profitable.
Yeah.
We have to be able to have returns to invest in marketing or invest in sales or invest in equipment or our staff or whatever we're going to choose to do with it. But we have to have value for money.
Absolutely.
Is that too truthful and honest to tell someone? Does that scare someone?
No, because honestly, in the long run, you will make them a better person. They will, like, if they take what you tell them to heart, like that fellow that had the job here and moved on.
Who had your job?
Yeah. It may have made him better.
So what do you think? Like, you know what? I've never really asked you. So, I mean, I've been honest with you. We haven't tried to hide the fact that I messed up, that I mishired.
Yeah.
That I've learned from this and now you're here. I've never asked you. What do you think about that? Like, does that weigh on you, or is that like, hey, I'm kind of upset that I wasn't picked the first time, or is it like, hey,
No,
at
not
least I was picked the second time? Like, I've never asked you your thought.
No, and the reason
Nice guys finish last.
Boom, drop the mic and walk out, Roland.
No, because this is a business, and you said it yourself. We're not, at the end of the day, it's nice, and we all get along and everything, but you're trying to aspire to something and make a couple bucks in the process. So I think that people are aware of that, and if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then they have to move on. And I, and one thing you have to remember is, like, I was looking for a job for like 8 months, so it can wear you down, like looking for work, but you have to keep doing it. And if it wasn't this job, it would have been another, because life goes on.
What? You were destined to be in this
Yo,
job,
Louis.
weren't you?
Sounds like fighting words, yo.
This is God-inspired, isn't it?
You know what? Actually, I think I told you.
Sorry, God ordained. Would that be the right term?
It's weird because I think I told you that I had a dream. Like
Martin Luther King?
No.
Oh.
This is a true story. I actually had a dream about probably 6 months before I even met anyone here or applied for this job. But I was working here. Like, I actually remember like faces at this company.
Okay.
In this dream. So like, I had this weird.
How do you know about us?
Yeah, it was just
on the website.
It was
watching
just
us.
this weird dream, man.
Creepy, man.
Where I'm
not gonna look at you the same way now.
So I kind of always had this feeling that I was going to work here from kind of the first, when I sent in the application. So
you believe in destiny?
And have
I do.
Did we live up to the expectations of your dreams?
What's that?
Did we live up to the expectations of your dream?
Surpassed them.
I don't know. I woke up from the dream and I was hungry and
so-
had to go to the washroom. And
So it's just like when you're editing here all day long.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened at the end of that dream. So I could have been like murdered in the offices here.
Okay, so real quick before we wrap up this section, super fire round. One tip, most important thing.
Oh, hey, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah,
So we were talking about.
I was just starting a super fire round.
Yeah. We can do it after.
Super fire round.
Super fire round. So we talk about people applying to job posting. We said that we ignore people if nothing is posted anywhere when they're looking for people. However, you met with people. What was it about them? What did they do to get your attention to just even sit down for a coffee?
I will try and give people time if I can. And so what made them stand out was not the cover letter, the email that they sent me. So their email was interesting. It was personable. some of them are flattering, and I prefer if they weren't overly flattering because I kind of see that as bullshit. Yeah. It's very nice that they say kind words about what we're doing, but we, half the time we like what we're doing and half the time we don't think we're very good. So for someone to kind of just rave about how great we are, it kind of makes me go like, you're trying a bit hard, but usually it's a personal story. So I met with a gentleman last week. Last week, I met with a gentleman last week who spent like 5 years in New Zealand, just moved back, knows his stuff. He's only been back here for 40 days at the time. And he said, I'm hustling, I'm looking for work. And I was very open to him. I said, we're not hiring right now. And he said, okay, that's fine. Where would I be if I was hiring? I said, we'd be posting it here, but we're really not hiring anytime in the near future. He said, okay, but despite that, I would love to spend some time with you to get a sense of what you're doing. Cool. So the expectations are out. I'm not going to be hiring that person, but I can learn. I mean, the stuff's changing so quick, right? I can learn. I still need to learn as much from the people I'm meeting with as the people as they could potentially learn from me. And so for me to give half an hour up is really not a problem at all for me to just be able to help if I can. I met with another person who was much more focused on getting a job with us, and that kind of put me off a little bit because I didn't get the sense that they really knew what we did, that they really understand how we run our business. They were really concerned like they came across as really working hard to try and convince me to give them work. It's not my job to give them work. It's my job to grow my company and keep my staff working. Do you understand what I mean? So that's the thing you need to understand when you're cold calling companies. It's not, unless if they happen to be needing a drone operator for aerial shots, and you are a drone operator and that's all you do and you're the best at what you do and you happen to contact them on the right day or when there's a project that's top of mind, for the most part, you hustling and looking for work is kind of interrupting them trying to make a living. Do you know what I mean? And every expense that goes to the company, it's not a profit center, it's an expense. I'm not looking to spend more money. I'm looking to, connect with more clients. So if you bring me clients, then that's one thing. But if you're just looking for me to give you revenue, then that's an expense to me. It's not an investment. And here's the last thing that many people probably don't understand is, as a business, we put a lot of money into Google AdWords. We put a lot of money into ad spend. And so the people who are finding us and reaching out to us simply reminds me that they probably clicked on a link. That link probably cost me money, and they're not a lead. Right? So you might say, well, Mark, that's just the cost of doing business, or that's your fault. But keep in mind that I get 10, 15, 20 hits a week. So I'm getting 80, 100, 120 people a month. Mm-hmm. Each one of those is probably costing me $4, $5, $6. I'm spending $600 or $700 a month to have people find me to try and ask me for work. Yeah. So you know what? In the back of my mind, as something, you're kind of pissing me off, guys. like I'd rather, that's the cost of doing business. But so much of our ad spend is pissed away on students, on competitors, on people looking for work. And you know what? Maybe everyone's in the same boat, but it's costing me money. So that's in the back of my mind. And you know what? It may not matter to other people, but so if you're going to come to me with something, come to something with something unique. Make sure that you understand what we care about, what's valuable to us, what we are as a company, what it is we do, and hopefully we've already put out a job posting, because that's the best bet.
Yeah, I don't think enough people who are cold calling or applying understand it from a business owner's perspective. I think you already touched on it a little bit, but they don't understand that everything costs money. They just think there's a pot of money. You're a company and you have money, and obviously they should be able to work there because you need people and they have money. They don't realize that you don't need lots of people all the time, or they don't have the money to be spending it on more people. I don't know. I think you're right about that, Kyle, because I think people have a strange perception of what a business or a company is. Yeah. Still. Yeah.
because
They just think they're just jobs. They're just
not
there.
what and it's not, because it's not what it was in the 1950s and 60s, where this giant like Fabco, that churns out all these things and needs all these people working all these hours to produce whatever they produce.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more about like curating the talent and your team to do the work that you need done.
What do you think about the? I just thought of this because it comes up fairly regularly, actually. Those people who get either their program coordinator at a college, or maybe it's the person that works at the college is doing it, but they cold call us saying like, do you hire new graduates, or do you have any jobs for new graduates? We get that all the time.
Do we?
Yeah.
They call you?
They're like, oh, we have lots of new graduates. Are you hiring? Do you hire new graduates? And we'll be like, no. And they're like, you don't offer entry-level positions? And I'm like, I'll ask them sometimes, I'm like, do you even know what we do? And they'll be like, your company is Phanta Media. Like, they don't even look up. They don't even know.
Okay, so here's the dilemma.
Why are you wasting our time?
Here's the dilemma, though, right? You can't get a job without experience.
Right.
You can't get experience without a job, right? That's always existed.
Yeah.
So you need your program coordinator to hold your hand and find you a job?
No, they're trying to hit those numbers. They're trying to say that like 92% of our people have gotten paid work within 2 years. But the sad truth is, you have to. The distance. This is what the cold truth was for me.
Right.
The distance from the day you leave school to the day you're ready to be hireable is your responsibility.
Yeah.
No one is going to give that to you.
You should be laying the groundwork while you're in school.
You should be. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
do
actually
anything.
a very good point.
I thought that my straight A's would be good enough. And then
No.
I didn't focus on relationships.
I ran into a guy in third year at HMV, and I was just talking to him while I was buying a DVD, and I was like, oh, so what do you do? He's like, well, I graduated film about 5 years ago. And I'm like, oh, shit.
He's working at the HMV?
Working at the HMV. I'm like, okay, got to get on it.
So I didn't, in film school, I didn't work on any extra projects. I didn't do any extra relationships. I did my homework. I went to class, and I got A's.
It's not engineering.
And it didn't take me anywhere.
Didn't matter.
Exactly.
Didn't matter.
Right? So fine, preschool, pre-leaving school or whatever, even if you don't go to school, you are responsible for making yourself hireable.
Yeah.
And just because you're proficient at software does not make you an editor. Just because you have worked on a camera doesn't make you a great DOP. So you have to be good.
Just because your parents bought you a DSLR doesn't
Oh,
make it DOP.
shit.
Just so build your portfolio. Look for the right work. You're responsible for making yourself hireable. Is that where we're landing on this? Quick fire round. Are we going to do that or no? Quick fire round. Go,
Sure, yeah.
Go, Kyle.
You need people skills and be able to work within a team.
There you go. Okay, Louis, you're next.
Yeah, be persistent. Don't give up. Keep when you apply in a tailor-made fashion, and apply quickly. When you see an ad go up, every minute that passes is someone else who might get that job. So apply quickly.
Mm-hmm. We've had people apply like a week or two after I've already hired someone because we'll put them up for 8 weeks, but we may be done hiring already. So that's great, Roland.
I think no matter what happens, just try to find who you are, what you have to offer, what's your value, and stick to that. Because you have to be true to yourself, and there's people like you out there doing work, and you can line up with them and do it.
And my one piece of advice is always consider what's in it for the company you're hiring. So as much as an employer, I want to date you. I want to get the feeling at least that you're dating us as well. So be invested, ask questions, don't be aloof, be honest, be transparent, explain your strengths honestly, explain your weaknesses honestly, explain why you're scared or not scared or confident. But so much of what I do when I'm interviewing people is just trying to draw the real person out of them. So just be real. If you don't get the job, that's a good thing. If you're not a good fit, you're gonna hate it there. That's the thing, right? Like you're looking for the job. I believe you're looking for the job that is right for you. So don't just try to get the job. Okay, thanks guys. Coming up next, question of the week. First off, I wanted to thank everybody who has taken the time to write into us. We really do appreciate the questions. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate any support that you guys give us. This is something that we're doing because, one, we want to help people out, but two, we love the medium. We love the opportunity to have conversations with people. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, we're not above criticism. We'd really like to be able to shape this into something that the audience enjoys. So if you have any kind of feedback in any way, please drop us an email, feedback@notsocorporatepodcast.com. You can check us out on Twitter @Phanta Media, or you can just, try to come by our office. I don't know. Give us a call. Give us a ring. Whatever it is. But the point of this real quick little message is that we really do hope that everybody's enjoying it. We really do love it when people drop us an email, good or bad or indifferent, or ask us a question, because it certainly helps us shape the conversation around things that people actually care about. So please feel free to take part, to be part of the conversation, and we love to hear from you.
And if you want to stop by the office, bring some beers.
Or coffee.
Sure.
Okay, with this week's question of the week, we are going to look at the top 1, 2, or 3 YouTube channels that you follow and why. Roland, why don't you start us off?
None. Next.
You don't watch YouTubers?
No, man, I'm not a YouTuber.
Okay, perfect. That's short. Kyle.
The slow-mo guys and PewDiePie.
PewDiePie. I've heard that's the number one non-music related channel. That's amazing. Louis, do you got your list?
Yeah, so it's Honest Trailers because they have kind of an interesting outlook on analyzing the trailers and kind of making it funny. I also follow something similar called Cinema Sins, which is an exhaustive breakdown of all the quote-unquote sins that a movie is committing. And one last one that I follow is Giant Bomb, which is a video game outfit out of San Francisco.
And you follow those religiously, do you?
I do, yeah.
Very cool. Kyle, sorry, I didn't get why you follow your two. So slow-mo guys is obviously
the slow-mo guys,
because everything's slow motion.
Yeah, it looks great. I don't know if they bought like one of those expensive slow-mo cameras or what.
They shoot everything on the Phantom, I think.
Wow. It just looks cool. And then PewDiePie is just funny. I think it's just entertaining.
Very cool. And Roland, why do you not follow? We didn't get your why to the channels that you don't follow.
And I'm interested in hearing this.
Roland, what's your why?
I've never heard of people following YouTube channels before.
You don't know that you can subscribe to a YouTube channel? We're a digital content production company, and you don't.
That goes to show. We need to do some restructuring here.
Old guard.
Maybe. Okay, so I would say I follow a lot of things, but I'd say the top 3, Gary Vaynerchuk. Great channel talking about digital content marketing. Evan Carmichael, who was on the podcast last episode, he releases like 2 to 3 videos a day. He has gone like full host, and certainly
but those
helpful.
are not real videos. It's just him yapping away.
Oh, don't be mean.
Oh, come on.
Ouch.
Roland, obviously you don't understand YouTubers.
That one is awesome, Mark.
Oh, we just had Premier Bro step in. Premier Bro, what are you doing here on the podcast? Let me ask you a quick question. Premier Bro, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. I thought it was purple based off of your stuff. How are you enjoying the summer?
It's hot, baby.
Listen, Premier Bro, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. You have yourself a great day, okay?
Thank you for having me. Peace out.
That wasn't really him. But anyway, so I was saying Evan Carmichael, Gary Vaynerchuk, and then I love a channel called Snowcat XX87, which is a moto vlogger.
Whoa.
Do you guys know about moto vlogging?
Is that like when you're on your bike and you're vlogging?
Motorcycle.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who do it. There's some other great guys. Cycle.
Do they
Cruiser.
talk though? Or?
Yeah, they're just moto vlogs.
That's
So
cool.
why I like Snowcat, he's from Calgary, so he's Canadian. And he mostly is his tagline is a professional hater.
Sure.
And he mostly
Yeah.
points out people who do traffic infractions.
Yes.
And he yells
I
at
like
them.
that.
nice.
He gives them the finger.
Nice.
He
Yes.
gets really mad. But he's doing quite well. He's actually planning a trip from Calgary to New York, and he's going to be hitting Niagara Falls and Toronto
long
and
haul.
Montreal. And Yeah, so he's a great guy to follow. So, listen, guys, thanks so much for being on the podcast this week. I'd like to have a special thanks to Premier Bro for joining us, as well as Louis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Kyle.
Thank you. It's been fun.
And Roland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, from everyone here at Phanta Media, have a great week.
Wait.
Too slow.
Takes forever to type this.
Thank you for having me. Peace out.